What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Blue River Bow Hunting Podcast, episode 61. I know it's been a hot minute since I've been behind the mic or had anybody in here with me. But, we get busy, especially in the springtime. I was all over the place turkey hunting this spring and getting that all on film. If you haven't seen any of that, hit the YouTube up. We got 5 different birds down on video, 11 in total. It was quite the spring for our group. But I'm excited to get back behind the mic, and I got a pretty cool guest with me tonight. Met him off TikTok. I've followed him on there for quite a bit. But Corey Smith, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Not much at all.
I'm glad you took time out of your schedule, man, to come on here and talk a little whitetails and turkeys and stuff with us.
Man, my schedule's pretty empty in the summertime.
Yeah, mine too. Last night we got out. Well, actually 2 nights ago we got out, put 6 or 7 cameras out, a little bit of minerals, a couple of mineral blocks, stuff like that. Actually, I just dropped the episode on YouTube like 20 minutes ago. It took me a couple of days to put it together. I'm always really busy in the spring, not really just with turkey hunting, but my little man plays baseball, so there's a huge schedule behind all that, and then work and trying to fit everything into that it can be very busy.
Oh yeah. I don't have a kid yet, so I don't have to worry about that.
Well, you better enjoy yourself now before you do.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
So somebody that doesn't know you, Corey, introduce yourself a little bit.
Hi. I'm Corey Smith. I was born and raised in Pennsylvania. Well, I was raised in Pennsylvania, and I've just kind of lived here all my life. I was fortunate enough to have a family that hunted and fished a lot growing up. They took me everywhere, like they've taken me to Kentucky and all sorts of other states. I've got a whole list of states that I've hunted right there. And I went to college for a wildlife biology degree and got that. It's pretty much it. I'm an open book.
Yeah, when I always ask everybody to send me kind of an email to help me set up questions a little bit, but you said that you were in college, you were into the shotgun and stuff. Talk a little bit about that. I think that's like super cool, especially when you said that you were an All-American in that. That's even better.
Yeah, I was a 2-time All-American, and that was like in high school. So basically, we had this thing. It was just trap shooting and stuff, and
right.
At our high school, we started it when I was in 7th grade, and eventually, I just got so enamored with the sport and the people that I just decided to really take it serious. Where like during my summers, that's all I would do was travel from shoot to shoot across the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fortunate enough to make those 2 All-American teams, and then get a bunch of scholarship offers to colleges all over the country. And I decided to go to a smaller school in Nebraska, mainly because of the hunting opportunity, big bucks, a lot of ducks and geese and
oh yeah,
mule deer and antelope. There's all sorts of stuff to do in Nebraska, but I will say it's the flattest state I've ever been to.
Yeah, Nebraska is definitely on my list, especially since we've gotten linked up with Exact Rawheads, and got to talk to him. I did the indie show with him this past year, and him talking about even the public land opportunities in Nebraska, and he was talking about a certain highway, and north of the highway was all whitetails, and south of the highway was all mule deer. And I'm like, I got to get out there and check this out.
Yeah, once you get right around North Platte, south of the highway is mule deers, and north is whitetails. And honestly, Nebraska, it's like 8% public land. Most of it's waterfowl production areas, but there's one little spot up in the northwest corner. It's called Pine Ridge. I think it's a national forest, and it's pretty much heaven. And it's really weird. It's like a slice of Colorado in Pennsylvania. You don't think of Nebraska being, or slice of Colorado in Nebraska anyways, sorry.
Right. No,
you don't think of it being hilly and having trees and semi-mountains type stuff, and that's what it is at Pine Ridge, and it's beautiful there. It really is.
Yeah, it's definitely on my bucket list. I don't know if I'm going to get out there this year. Trying to get the whitetail schedule kind of ironed out for the next few weeks to have it kind of set in stone. And Kentucky for the velvet hunt once again. This will be my 2nd year in a row going. Such a fun trip. I can't express enough how cool Kentucky is to hunt. I mean, just the public land. The public land we hunt is bow only. Oh, what happened to my screen here? We get they have one shotgun hunt there a year. or firearms, it's a draw deal. But just not having that gun pressure all year long can grow big bucks, and it's shown with the guys that I go with. Adam shot a 135 full velvet. They go back down later on in November, and Bert shot a 165 down there. There's some big deer down there, and the turkeys. There's a bunch of turkeys in Kentucky.
Kentucky's definitely a sleeper state. I hunted there from when I was like 10 years old every year till I was probably 16. Mm-hmm. And I'd always come back with like 130 plus inch bucks. So that's just straight luck. But then again, it wasn't like me doing all the work. It was like my uncles throwing me in the best stand and just saying, have at it, kid.
Right.
Like, that's just how it was. But we have private property down there. I've never hunted public or anything down there, but it's definitely a sleeper state, Kentucky, and just people don't talk about it. That's just how it is down there.
For sure. And then after Kentucky, I'm thinking about hitting Missouri just after Kentucky. So like that September 15th, like their opener over there, maybe for a long weekend or so. And then I'm trying to fit West Virginia in there. Met some really cool people this spring. Went and spent 5 days out there with my buddy Troy Delaney and his buddy Todd, and we ended up taking 3 birds all together. It was an awesome trip, and they invited me to come back deer hunting with them. So I'm going to try to fit that in the schedule somewhere down in there. But after that, I'm sticking to home base because when that late October, November hits in Indiana, I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. Indiana's got some big bucks on the up and coming. That's
for sure. I feel like it's a sleeper state too. Well, it used to be a sleeper state. Yeah. I feel like it's definitely since Dustin Huff shot that buck a couple years ago. It definitely put Indiana on the map, especially when it comes to our licensing. Our licensing went through the roof. I've talked about that on here before. It's pretty crazy how everything's playing out. I hosted a public land deer camp last year, mid-October, the weekend before Halloween, I think. We shot one good buck down there, but I figured that I would run into a bunch of people, and I was completely wrong because I hunt mostly private land here by the house, and I was wrong. There was people there, but it's not like I had it in my mind that they were just going to be overrun with people because the Hoosier National Forest is like 200 plus 1,000 acres, and it was just unreal. You could really just walk. My buddy Waldo that shot the nice buck down there when we were down there, he was like 3 miles from the truck, and we had to end up quartering that thing out because nobody had a deer cart.
Yeah. That's always great. When you're so deep, you have to quarter the deer out.
Oh man, it was, and it's not that it was just that deep. It was just so hilly, and I felt like I was in the mountains really, and I was in just southern Indiana.
Yeah, I live real close to the Allegheny National Forest, and it's probably over 200,000 acres and stuff like that. And it's super weird. Like, if you find deer, they're gonna be huge. Like, on average for a Pennsylvania deer, it's gonna be bigger than normal,
right?
Rack wise, anyways. But just actually finding the deer, like, it's so big and so vast that like, it's just difficult to actually find them. And there could be acorns dropping here, and the deer will never eat them.
That's wild. So let's talk about hunting PA. Let's talk about that for a minute. Talk about the terrain that you're hunting there in PA, and kind of how you approach PA in general. Because I know that I've heard people and other podcasts and that kind of thing talk about how PA public land can be kind of tricky sometimes because you guys got a lot of hunters up there, especially during your gun season. But talk about PA for a minute.
PA. So my part of Pennsylvania, I'm towards the western side. I live where I'm sitting. I'm 100 yards from New York, so that's cool. I can hunt 2 states right out my door. But
yeah, that's cool.
It's kind of like the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. It's not as steep, but they're still mountains. And what I like to do is I use Onyx so much. I use Onyx maps so much where I e-scout and I try and find little bowls and stuff and saddles. And if I'm going to scout somewhere, I'm going to try and get as high as I possibly can on the mountain and try to just walk the ridge. And if I think I see something that I want to go in, I'll dump into that. And most of the time I've noticed that majority of the pictures I get on trail cam of mature deer on these mountains, it's like the first bench off the ridge. or they're on the ridge during the rut and whatnot. And
Mm-hmm.
it's difficult because deer here can just disappear and just you'll never see them for a year. Like I've got a buck that I was hunting hard in 2020, and it disappeared. I thought it got hit by a truck. It was the biggest Pennsylvania buck I've ever seen, and it just showed up in December, 2 years later. And I'm like,
Wow.
where have you been?
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong, he's gone downhill, but it's the same frame, same little notch that's in his ear. It's the same deer, and it just drives me nuts because finding a mature buck in Pennsylvania it's very difficult. It's not like it was in Nebraska where, there's trees there. There should be a deer there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a deer there.
Right. It's just so vast of a hardwoods they can just disappear anywhere, basically.
Yeah, and it's in all the logging and stuff. There's clear cuts that you got to go into, and you got to check, and mountain laurel thickets, and it's just one giant big maze, big puzzle of deer hunting, and you just kind of have to figure it out as you go.
Yeah. So when you're scouting and running your trail cameras and stuff, is it always that top of the ridge or that first bench, or sometimes you drop down to the bottom and put a camera out down in the bottom somewhere?
It really depends on how big the valley is. Like if it's a real tight holler, I'll definitely put cameras in the holler or in the bottom because I don't really want to hike up to the top.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, it's difficult, but most of the time, 90% of my cameras are on the ridge or the second or the first bench off the ridge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you running any cell cams or is it all SD cards?
Yeah, I've probably got right now 15 Tacticam reveals out.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some Exoduses and a Spartan that I have no idea where it is.
Oh, that's awesome. I laugh. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you because I know how that goes sometimes. I try to mark it on my OnX where I put them, and then sometimes I move them and forget to move that pin, and I'm like, I don't even know where that camera went.
It's somewhere in the national forest. I have an idea on where it is, right. But I have no idea how to get there.
Is it something as far as public versus private sort of thing? Are you hunting all public land or do you have some access to some private land?
So my family, we own quite a bit of land around my town here, mm-hmm. But me and my uncles kind of get in little arguments all the time. So I just say, screw that. I'm going to the national forest, and I don't deer hunt as much as I used to. Last year I deer hunted 10 times and I shot 3 bucks.
Nice. So how many bucks can you take over there?
One, but I shot 2 in New York.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, and so at this point in my life, I'm probably 80% of the time I'm on public land, mainly the Allegheny National Forest.
I got you. As far as like stands and stuff, are you running like a climber, lock on with sticks, a saddle? How are you approaching the public land?
Well, I tried a saddle once, and I just couldn't. I just could not feel safe no matter how long I tried it. Yeah. But mainly, I will use a lock-on stand. I'll hike in there. I'll put a lock-on stand, or I've got a really light hawk setup that I just go in if I'm mobile hunting. Mm-hmm. I've probably got 7 hang-on or climber stands at the base of trees that I just haven't gone and picked up.
That's awesome. As far as your mobile setup, you said it was with a hawk with climbing sticks.
Yeah, it's a hawk. I can't remember the name of the stand, but it's the helium sticks. It's yeah, and it gets me up there about 12 feet as long as it's as high as I need to go most of the time.
Right. Yeah. This will be my second year with the saddle setup. I'm definitely making some changes. I just bought the XOP X2 climbing sticks. It's gonna cut about 6 pounds off my weight going in. I had some heavier sticks last year. I kind of just wanted to get a feel for it. I like it. I like it because I'm able. Me growing up in Indiana, where I was at, I had a lot of preset hang-ons, even double sets for when we film and stuff. But I like to spread that stuff out. I don't have to have double sets anymore. Even if I just have one single lock on in there, I can go up above it in my saddle and film out of it. Or the mobility of it is what I like so much because I've never really been that mobile as a deer hunter. I mean, I've had climber for years. I kind of messed up a little bit in Ohio with it and kind of messed it up, and I didn't ever really want to go back to it. But I like it. I know it's not for everybody, and I know some people kind of trash it. But if you do it the right way, man, or the right way you like to do it, I like it. I think it can be fun.
I do really want to try saddle hunting again because there's been major advancements in it since I tried. I was 16 years old when I tried a saddle. And that was 7 years ago.
Right.
So it's definitely come a long way in the past at least 2 or 3 years.
Right. And then there's so many different companies out there that do customizations and all that sort of stuff now. Like that Genesis 3D printing makes a lot of stuff for your sticks and your platform and stuff to just make it easier to get in and up in the tree. And a lot of these companies make some pretty nice backpacks now where you can pack everything in pretty tight, and I like it. I'm looking forward to it again. I'm going to be doing it again in Kentucky. I'm actually going to hit public land probably more than I ever have this coming season, just for the fact that I don't know what's there. And it's just an adventure to me, See as deep as I can get, read the sign as I'm going in, try not to cut myself short and get deep in there and have fun with it. Now when it comes down to prime time, I'm going to the farms that I like. But other than that, when I don't want to put the pressure there, I'm gonna venture out in the public land game.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be deer hunting more this year because I just picked up this freaking thing.
What you got? Oh yeah, I seen your TikTok of that. That's freaking sweet, by the way.
Yeah, I put the wrap on it myself.
Right.
I gotta add a little flair, man.
Oh yeah, I love bottomland. By the way, that's like my favorite pattern now. I think.
Yeah, I'm a big Sitka guy, but I didn't think Sitka would look cool on a 58-year-old bow.
Right.
Like, okay.
Well, speaking of that, since you brought it up, Sitka. So what brought you into liking Sitka? Is just the comfortability, the pattern? What do you like about it?
Well, I used to talk the most crap on my buddies that wore Sitka, and then one day in college, I was freezing my butt off. We were out duck hunting, and I was like, dude, I got to use your Sitka jacket that's sitting in the truck. And I threw it on, and immediately it was just 20 minutes, and I was perfectly fine.
Right.
I was like, okay, this is cool. And then I started looking into all the research stuff and scientific stuff on it, and I was like, I don't understand any of this, but it looks like it makes sense.
Right.
And eventually I got to a point where I got my guide license, and I got the 50% discount or whatever that they give out. And I like the patterns, even though, like, I wear a lot of subalpine, which is their greener stuff. And to a deer's eye, it's the exact same pattern as the elevated. So I don't know why they decided to make one gray and one green, even though deer see the same thing.
Right.
Whatever. But when it comes to their waterfowl line, there's no beating it. Like, there's nothing touching it.
I've tried on one of the waterfowl jackets and the waders actually at I think it was a Sportsman's Warehouse. I tried that stuff on. It was really nice. I've never knocked anybody. I have buddies that have it as well. I've never knocked anybody for their personal preference when it comes to camo or guns or bows or anything like that. Everybody's going to do it their own way. But it's definitely got a hefty price tag on it for sure.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Which I always told people, I saw a guy when I went up to Wisconsin a few years ago. He had I can't imagine how much money he put into his entire setup for whitetail hunting. But he's like, dude, it gets so freaking cold here. I don't want to waste a minute not being able to be in the woods. So I went all out, and I was checking it out. I'm like, man, this shit's pretty nice, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely keeps me in the woods longer, and keeps me drier, keeps me warmer. All that mumbo jumbo that everyone else is going to spiel to you about Sitka. It's the same thing. I mean, I get the same results from it. And sure, I look cool for the TikTok baddies too. Like, come on.
Right. Because somebody's going to say something at some point on there.
Yeah.
Well, when you're not going to tote that traditional around, what kind of bow are you using?
So I shoot my dad. My dad gave me his old bow.
Mm-hmm.
He told me to shoot a booner with it one day. It's a Matthews Switchback XT.
Oh, yes.
And I am trying so hard to just find something that I could at least call a booner. Like,
right.
I don't care if I never scored. If it just looks the part, I'm just gonna say it is.
Right.
Like, I've got one booner, and this is my Nebraska buck, but
Yep, I got that written down here at the bottom of my whitetail talk. I want to hear the story about the Nebraska buck. But I actually used to shoot a switchback as well. It was actually probably one of my favorite bows I've ever had, actually.
I used to shoot a Tri-X before it,
Mm-hmm.
and I picked up the switchback, and it just drew smoother. And
Yep.
I've revamped the thing. It is the most pimped out switchback XT you will ever see.
That's ever been, probably.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome looking. My buddy's got it right now. He had to restring it for me because I don't know how to do that stuff. But as soon as I get it back, it's game on. It's gonna be famous or something like that.
All right. So what kind of bucks are you targeting in Pennsylvania for just this example, or in general? Are you targeting mature bucks, or is it just something that if you like it, it's going down?
Honestly, I used to just only target bucks that were like 120 inches plus.
Mm-hmm.
But I've gotten to the point where I do more waterfowl hunting than anything. So if I see a buck come in and I'm like, oh, I'm going to shoot it.
Right.
I'm going to shoot the deer. This past year, I ended up shooting a 70-inch 6-point on accident.
Nice.
I
awesome.
definitely did not think it was that big. What happened was there was an 8-point behind me, and it was walking. It went off to my left, and I was like, okay, well, I just screwed that up. I wasn't paying attention. I was on my phone scrolling through TikTok like any
Right.
21-year-old dude.
Right.
And next thing you know, a bunch of like ATVs came running through the land, and I was like, okay, what's going on? And then I see a buck and a doe just come running at me, and it was a little dark. It was a little dark. All I saw was 3 up, and I was like, that's got to be the 8-point I just saw. And I sent this shot. I threaded the needle through like a 6-inch hole, 37 yards.
Nice.
Got him, and I watched him fall. I called my uncle, and he came and helped me, and I looked at the buck, and I was like, that's not the same one I shot. Like, that's not the same deer. And he looked at me and goes, it's the same deer. Your arrow's sticking out of it. I was
like, oh, man. But, hey, sometimes, like, I think it was 2021 maybe, I shot a deer over here by my house about 115 inches, and I'm behind the camera most of the time, so I don't know if it was just because I was in front of my bow that day or what, but that 115-inch buck got me really excited, and I couldn't help myself, so I put an arrow in him, and I thought he was about a 140-inch deer when I just the way I was acting when he came in.
The first buck that I ever shot on the property that I own, which is just right behind my house, I was sitting there. I had just gotten off the phone with my buddy because I didn't think I was going to see nothing. I was sitting maybe 150 yards from my back door.
Nice.
And next thing you know, I just hear just going through the leaves, and I turn around and I look, and in the thicket, all I see is a big 4-side, and I was like, let's go. And it's coming straight at me. And I'm like, this deer's like 140 inches. It's massive. And as soon as it steps out in the open, I sling an arrow. I didn't even check if it was the same deer. It was. But slung the arrow, whack. It runs off 80 yards, and it dies. So I get out of the stand, and I call like every single one of my buddies. It's like, I just shot the biggest Pennsylvania archery buck of my life. It's at least 140-inch 8-pointer. And I built the suspense. I even put it on Instagram. I was like, we're about to go track the biggest buck ever. And I had 7 guys with me 4 hours after I shot the deer, even though I already knew it was dead. 7 guys.
That's awesome.
I walk up to it, solid 105-inch deer. One really good side, the other side, not so much.
That's awesome.
I was like, well, I know what side I saw coming through the brush, and it was that one.
Oh, that's awesome.
They still give me shit about that.
Oh, I still get shit about that one I'm talking about too. Scent control. Is scent control something that you play around with, or is it you just go to the woods and hunt?
I just go to the woods and hunt. I mean, when I was a kid, I believed in all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. If you believe in it too, I'll go all ahead. I mean, there's science behind it and all that stuff, but
right.
I'm going to hunt the wind. If the wind's in my favor, I'm never going to have a problem.
Right.
If the wind isn't in your favor, that deer's going to bust you no matter what. There's going to be something going on, whether it's your boots, whether it's the smell of your bowstrings or whatever. Something is going to make that deer bust if the wind's not in your favor. And if it doesn't, you did everything right.
Right. You know how many times I've asked that question on here thinking I would get, let's see. This is episode 61, so I've at least asked it 50 times. I bet you I've gotten that answer more than I've gotten that they care about scent control.
Yeah.
I personally care about scent control. I'm not like a super crazy about it. Like you said, play the wind. I have like an ozone container I'll throw my clothes in and that kind of thing. But other than that, I'm not like spraying down every time I go into the woods or anything like that. But I am conscious about something. Like I'm not pumping gas before I go get in the woods or something like that. You know?
You're self-conscious about that. Don't get me. I'm not going to do anything to make me more smelly than what I am.
Right.
But if I'm playing the wind and I'm playing the thermals, like I'll be fine.
Right.
Most of the time.
I'm with you for sure. So I'm kind of excited to talk to you about turkeys because I know you're big into turkey hunting like I am, and it sounds like you had one hell of a spring laid out for us.
Yeah. My turkey season started West Virginia opener. I can't remember what day it was.
It was a Monday.
I just decided to go down there for the hell of it. Me and my buddies had this TikTok turkey competition where
I've seen that.
the biggest beard won or whatever, and I was like, okay, I gotta find something. I gotta spread out. I gotta find the turkey with the biggest beard. And I shot a bird in West Virginia, 12 and 3/8 inch beard, which happened to just be leading the competition until a guy named Basement Decorator shot one with a 13.5 inch beard.
That's a monster beard, by the way.
Dude, see, mine was a full beard, right? Like full, no long strands. His was like 10 inches with like 3.5 inch long strands just poking out. So I think you take the average, I win. Like, come on.
I think we should do a spur contest next year because I would have had that hands down this year.
I shot one with 1.5 inch spurs this year. That was nice. And like I shot 5 birds myself in Ohio. I shot Ohio, New York, PA, and West Virginia. I shot 2 PA birds.
Nice.
But I also called in. Total this year I've seen die was 18.
Nice. That's a heck of a spring because you're guiding, right?
Yeah, I'm guiding, and I like 10 of those were guiding, and then the other few were me and my buddies, just taking my buddies out. They'd come up, and they'd be from down south Pennsylvania where they don't have as many turkeys. They'd come up here, and we'd go hammer them or something like that. Or they came down from New York, or I owed them hunts from tagging along waterfowl season and stuff like that.
So how did you get in the guide game?
Honestly, I just really wanted discounts.
I don't blame you.
I was a fly fishing guide in New Mexico for a summer, and I realized then, like, this is what I want to do. To be able to witness people's faces when they do something for the first time or achieve something for the first time, it's truly great to be able to experience that and help them through that. Whether it was fishing or whether it was being able to cast a dry fly right, or shooting the first turkey, shooting the biggest turkey, shooting the first band, shooting anything. It to be able to share my love for the outdoors, it's truly amazing, and I'm glad that I'm in a position that I can do that. Plus, the discounts are nice.
Right. I was just looking down at my show sheet, and I totally skipped over your 172-inch Nebraska buck. I got to hear this story.
Yeah. I didn't really do much scouting or nothing, but here goes.
All right.
It was probably middle October, and all my buddies that I went to college with, we were all from different places. Like 2 of them were from New Mexico, 1 was from Alaska, and I was from Pennsylvania. Like no one was from where we were.
Yeah.
And we were like, let's just all get bows and like archery hunt. And they were like all for it. And I left mine in Pennsylvania, and I was like, okay. Called up my uncle, hey, can you ship that to me? And so he ships it to me, and we get it. We start playing around at 3D shoots and stuff, and I'm like, I think I'm good to go. I'm starting to get my form back, and I decided to hit this public land right across from a community college. And we were driving the night before, and I saw like 125, 130 inch 8-point. And I was like, that'd be a nice first buck in Nebraska. Like that'd do the job. So I went in there with a climb and stand, and that I bought for an outrageous price at a garage sale. I went in there with a climb and stand, and there was like 5 people in the parking lot already. So I was like, immediately I was like, there's no way that all these Nebraska people are here for 125, 130 inch buck on this small piece of property.
Right.
So I immediately knew something was up. There was probably something bigger in the area. And I get up in my stand, and there's not a lot of trees. It's just all grass, and then there's a cut cornfield in front of me. And I'm looking to the right. There's a big patch of like 5 foot tall grass, and all I see stand up is just boom, rack. And I was like, that's what they're here for. And I thought it was like a 140, you know. And it starts coming at me, and I'm shaking in my boots already, because like that's just how I was at that point. I'm just shaking like a leaf. And I get my triax back, and I'm holding it. And it's sitting there at 25 yards, and it spooks off. Off to about 40. And I was like, screw it.
Right.
Smack. It took a step right when I shot. So I got it back a little bit. Ended up being liver and back of the lung. But it ran like 400 yards. Just kept going. It didn't take any breaks or nothing like a normal liver hit would be.
Yeah.
And it ended up dying in the ditch in front of the community college.
Oh, that's wild.
So like I should have just called like the DNR there and been like, hey, can I get my buck? But I waited until like 4 a.m. and me and my buddies kind of like did a GTA heist on the deer. Like 4 a.m. lights and dragging the deer into the bed of the truck. This is my deer. Take it to the it was awesome. A show, that's for sure.
I love stories like that. Even better, it was across from a community college. I mean, maybe that's why he got big, maybe. But then again, you said there was 5 guys in the parking lot. I guess it had the pressure at least.
There was 5 guys in the parking lot, and when we basically all walked out at the same time after I shot the deer, and I was like, hey, I shot one. And they're like, what did it look like? And I was like, well, it's a really big 10-point. And they're like, screw you, man. They're like, we don't know who you are. And I was like, well, I'm Corey Smith. I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm going to college in Hastings. And they're like, another non-resident. All right, man. Like, okay.
Wonder if they get that much, that many non-residents coming to Nebraska. I know they get a lot for turkeys, but wonder if there's that many non-resident deer hunters.
During, like, their rifle season, it's heavy.
Really?
It's very heavy. And the rifle season isn't very long. But it's the fact that you can go there over the counter and shoot the same quality of bucks as Iowa. You can shoot a mule deer. You can shoot there's a lot of things to do in Nebraska over the counter as a non-resident.
Right.
I mean, antelope. They have elk there that, I mean, you can't, it's not over the counter for elk, but big mule deer, big everything.
Mm-hmm. What's your thought on like a state like Iowa or Kansas where there's got to be preference points and waiting it out sort of thing? What do you think about that compared to over the counter?
I mean, it kind of adds a little lust to hunting the state because it makes you want to hunt there.
For sure.
It makes you want to say, hey, I've got an Iowa tag. I'm going to go kill a giant in Iowa or Kansas. And I'm not certain on the science behind it, but Iowa has big deer.
Oh, absolutely.
Kansas has big deer.
Yeah, for sure. This is my second year buying preference points for Iowa. I am so ready to go out there, even though I got to wait probably another 2 years probably.
Yeah, I bought my 5th point for Iowa.
Ooh, nice. You think you're going to get drawed?
Nah, I just bought the point.
Just bought the point. Can you give me a couple?
No, I was like, listen, I'm not ready to go to Iowa yet. Like, I don't have enough time in the fall yet. I'm busy guiding waterfowl and stuff. I don't have enough time to sneak off for 2 weeks to try and kill a buck.
Right. Back to the turkey talk, those states that you said that you went, was it all public land that you were getting these birds on?
In PA, one of the birds was on private right behind my house, but all the rest of them is public land. And I'm one of those guys that just likes to be a kind of a mean person, and I'll put like a little feather on people's windshields if they're on the same piece of public land, or if there's a gate there, I'll put a shell with a feather on it. Just marking my territory, like type thing. Like I like knowing that I killed that bird and they didn't, type thing.
I think I would get like a chuckle out of it, but I could see there's a lot of personalities out there that would just be like super pissed when they came back to their truck, or maybe they heard you shoot or something.
In West Virginia, I had there's a bunch of dust on my truck, and it said, it had the letters OOSER, out of stater.
Oh wow!
And like get out and shit. And I was like, okay. Right. Sitting there with a bird over my freaking shoulder. Like, right. I'm out. Like, have fun.
So what's your approach to these public land birds where you're getting it done so much? Is it just simply, roosting the night before and getting after them, or just covering a lot of ground?
I cover a lot of ground. Like, if I have people with me, I'm going to try and roost the bird. But if I'm just by myself, I have I look on Onyx, have kind of an idea on where the birds might be, and I'll get on top of a ridge, because most of the time I'm not hunting flat ground. I'll get on top of a ridge, and I'll get to a point where I can listen in all directions. And as soon as I hear a gobble, I'm booking it in that direction. And normally, 30, 40 minutes before they're out of the roost, right? So I got 30, 40 minutes to get there and get set up.
Right.
And most of the time, it works. And it doesn't, sometimes I might not kill the bird, but I'll be working the bird, and I know that bird's there.
Right.
But in Pennsylvania, I do a lot of pre-scouting. Like I start scouting in March, finding birds, finding areas with birds, finding what birds are what, how big are the birds, and stuff like that. Because I do a lot of competitions and stuff, and like biggest bird and whatnot.
Right. Yeah. I don't think I've ever killed a public land bird. I think all my stuff has been private land. We had youth weekend here in Indiana this year. We killed back-to-back days with the Bonowitz boys, and the second day was on public land, and there was 3 of us took kids, and almost all 3 of us got it done. I think it was just because it was that youth weekend. Most of the adults, if they're taking somebody, they can go, but they can't hunt like the kids can. It's just kids only. I think it just gave them that leg up, that week ahead. And our season comes in so late. I feel like it was kind of prime time for them birds to be, mating. And the one we killed on Saturday of youth weekend, it didn't even have any hens with it. I called him straight out of the tree. He hit the ground, come up the ridge. It was like a 15-minute hunt, which is awesome, especially for a kid.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going out of state, I usually have people give me an idea on where to go. Like, I'm not asking them for exact pens. Just give me like a town or a county, something like that. And yeah, I mean, it's not the hardest thing to figure out turkey.
Oh no, it's not. I think it's easier to scout for turkeys than it is deer. I think.
Yes, I think it's easier to scout for a big turkey than it is a big deer. But I can find deer like easy because deer are everywhere. But yeah, I mean, turkeys, they're kind of like my first true love of hunting. I was 5 years old when I shot my first turkey. Nice. Hearing it gobble get
you shook up.
This year I shot 5 turkeys for 52 in my lifetime.
Nice. That's awesome, dude.
I need an Osceola to complete my Grand Slam.
Oh man,
Osceola's freaking hardest thing to get. So
yeah, you gonna put that into the itinerary next year, going down there?
I mean, it's in the plans. It's just whether or not my wallet has enough jingle in it to go do that.
Get old Stud Blood to take you down there.
Yeah, Stud Blood, old Jake Buster, man. We love that.
Right. Hey, listen, check it off.
You're right. He's gonna love it when he hears that. He's gonna be mad at me. I called him Jake Buster until he killed Longbeard.
I do feel bad for that dude when it comes to deer hunting with those Florida deer. I would move out of the state. I couldn't even handle that.
Yeah, I mean, Florida does have giant. He's doing really good in. Hold on, give me a second.
You're good.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. For anybody listening on the YouTube or the podcast game, go check those videos out for us on the YouTube from turkey hunting. You got me and Levi, young youth hunter I met in West Virginia. We killed a a bird, got him his first bird on his first ever turkey hunt in West Virginia, which was really cool. And then I killed one the next day, and then back in Michigan with the Mid-State Outdoors guys, killed another giant longbeard in Michigan, 1.5 spurs, 11.5-inch beard. It's one of my biggest birds. Definitely biggest on spurs. I probably won't ever beat 1.5 again. That's not something I run into too easily here in Indiana. I think my biggest Indiana spur is like 1.25 inches, I think.
Yeah, that's still a good spur.
Yeah, for sure. And it's an eastern spur. You know, that's a pretty common eastern spur, I feel like. But we killed in Michigan, we killed 8 birds. Hold on. Yeah, 7 birds in less than 24 hours, all on film. And 3 of them had 1.5-inch spurs. It was gnarly.
Sorry about that. My uncle lives across the street.
Mm-hmm.
Bursted in my house and he goes, "There's an albino deer."
Oh, that's awesome, though.
He's drunk. It's not an albino deer. It's just a deer.
Pieball.
Yeah. It's just a normal deer. It's whatever.
That's pretty funny, though. That adds to the story for sure. Waterfowl. I was big into waterfowl in my early 20s. I wouldn't say I've gotten out of it. I'm very picky when it comes now. It's like I don't even really want to go until I know there's birds there. There's no point in going and sitting somewhere if there's any birds there. In Indiana, northern Indiana is great for waterfowl. Even the western half of Indiana along the Wabash River is great. But here where I'm at, I'm mostly cornfields and stuff. Geese, like you were saying in your email, a lot of geese. But let's hear about this waterfowl guide and stuff.
Yeah. I really didn't waterfowl hunt much as a kid. Like I would just jump shoot wood ducks, jump shoot geese
right.
in the river and in the swamps and stuff. And I went to college in Nebraska, big waterfowl state. All my buddies, big waterfowl hunters, and they're like, "Dude, you got to get into this." And that's where I really found the love for it. Decoying birds and working birds and stuff like that. And I've really grown. I've gotten very proficient at waterfowl hunting in the short amount of time that I've been really going hard at it. And there's something inherently special about knowing where those birds came from, knowing that they've traveled X amount of miles to meet you there, and then you're calling them in, you're making them do all these funny stuff in the sky, like birds are turning upside down trying to get into your decoy spread, and it's like, yes. I just heard a gunshot.
Oh, God. Hopefully the albino didn't go down. You need me to cut this podcast short?
No, we're good.
Oh, that's funny, though.
Yeah.
We witnessed a felony on the show today. No, I'm just kidding. That really didn't happen, people. We were just joking. Oh, man, that's funny.
But, yeah, I mean, it's different from deer too, because I can waterfowl hunt with my buddies. I don't have to worry about scent control. I sit there and cook freaking breakfast in the blind.
I love it.
I'll sit there and puff on my nicotine stick and stuff like that. And
absolutely.
We've got 5 to 10 people there, all good buddies. We know what we're doing. We're gonna have fun. And then all of a sudden we start hearing geese in the background.
Oh yeah.
Yes. And eventually it got to the point where I was killing enough banded geese where people really started to wanting to hunt with me.
Yeah, I'm good to go now.
And it was like, okay, everyone wants to hunt with me, but none of them are going to do any work. So here, pay me $150 per day. And in Pennsylvania, you don't need a guide license for anything except for elk. I got my guide license in New York, though.
I got you.
You don't need anything other than elk, so it's like no brainer. It'll help pay off the massive amount of freaking decoy debt that I'm in, like the trailer that I bought to haul the decoys and all that stuff, and the amount of work that just goes into waterfowl hunting, and the reward for it is spectacular. Like just this thing right here. I mean,
nice.
That's and then awesome. I've got this little choker necklace with a bunch of duck bands on it. Like,
see, that's what I want. I've been, like I said, I was big into waterfowl in my early 20s. I've been waterfowl hunting since I was 18 years old. I'll be 34 Monday. I've never killed a band. And we've killed a lot of. Last year we killed an 8-man limit of mallards in like 45 minutes, like 3 days in a row. We just had a piece of the river that wasn't locked up. It was 5 degrees outside, so they were trying to get to open water, and it was almost easy. We did shoot a couple bands, and of course the ones I shoot, they weren't banded.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the point where even if I shot the band, I give it away.
Nice.
Like, unless I'm
That's
hunting
pretty
by
cool.
myself, or it's like a jack miner band or a rivet band or something special,
Right.
that's when I'll fight for it, because I don't have one of those. But
So is it like dry fields that you're hitting, rivers,
I
lakes,
mainly hunt
what?
dry fields.
Dry fields. That's my favorite, anyways.
If I don't have to get wet, I don't want to get wet.
Right.
Like, what is the point of sitting there in waist deep water to just shoot the same amount of geese, or the same geese that are over there feeding in a hayfield or a cornfield or a soybean field?
Right.
And I just like it more. When they hit the ground, way better sound.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. Are you guys hunting out of layout blinds or like some A-frames? What do you got?
I primarily hunt out of layout blinds. I like the hide a lot better. It's a lot more flush to the ground. And plus, if I was a goose and I was flying over an A-frame and I saw a bunch of fucking Mountain Dew cans and just people like sitting there, like, I wouldn't do that. So like, in my human brain, I don't like A-frames. Don't get me wrong. I'll hunt out of them on the edge of something. But if most of the time I want to be in the middle of the field, right in amongst them, I'll be in a layout blind.
Right. And I thought a couple of hunts that I've been on, we have A-frames now. I don't think I've used my layout blind in probably 5 or 6 years. My brain did the same thing. I'm like, there's no way this is going to work, especially when it came down to hunting those fields in the snow. Doesn't seem to be a problem. Kind of appeals to me the same way as turkey hunting out of a blind, where you can just stick it in the middle of a field and you think there's no way that bird's not going to see me. You know what I mean? I've had toms brush up against my blind and stuff.
Yeah, I've had that happen too. But I only use a blind turkey hunting if I've got kids with me. Type thing. Yeah, I just think it's like a way more enamored experience if you're right there.
Oh, absolutely. The only time I ever use it is when I'm bow hunting turkeys, which I think I'm going to officially retire from trying to bow hunt turkeys. I had opening day of West Virginia. I shot one. Didn't find it. I think I just hit a little bit far back than what I needed to. Your target's very, very small when bow hunting turkeys, and I think I probably should have just took his head out, but I was trying to hit that honey hole, and I think I shot just a little bit back.
Yeah, I mean,
Sucked.
you'll have that. Turkeys,
sure.
in my mind, turkeys are meant to be killed with a shotgun.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I said I think I'm done with it.
I've killed 2 turkeys with a bow, and it's difficult.
It is. I want to get it done though. I want to put that check mark next to that.
I've got
and say I've done
GoPro
it.
footage of me just one's head right off.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. It was
Well,
really cool.
if you ever need a cameraman on some of these guide hunts, I need to come up there and get behind the camera for you guys.
Dude, I've needed a cameraman forever. People are like, you're like so efficient at hunting and stuff. I'm like, that's what I make it look like, but I'm really not. Like,
I get lucky.
I get super lucky, and I just happen to like hunt more than 99% of the people out there that have hunting licenses. Like, I'm hunting every day.
Right.
So
when it comes to your biology stuff, what exactly does that entail for your job?
yeah, I just got the degree, man. Like, I
You were
got
just
the
like,
degree just to get the degree.
I got you.
I really wanted to be a wildlife biologist as a kid, or maybe have that degree and then get a criminology, maybe, and then become like a game warden. Here I am now, like game warden's worst enemy type thing on TikTok.
I'm in the exact same boat. I have a conservation law enforcement degree, and I am not a conservation officer, nor do I want to be one either.
I own I'm part owner in a ginseng business, which
cool.
is where I make most of my money for the year. And then guiding, and then during the summer, I just do drywall to keep me afloat.
Yep, I hear you, buddy. So I got one last question for you. What is your dream hunt? If you could pick anything to hunt, dream hunt, what is it?
I was 7 years old watching the Sportsman's Channel. Jim Shockey was playing. I can't remember what TV show it was at the time that Jim Shockey was on, but it was his. And he was in, I believe it was the Brooks Range of Alaska, hunting moose with a bow.
Nice.
And that is my dream hunt. That is the end all be all. If if I don't ever do anything else in my life, I will save up and I will go on a moose hunt in Alaska with my bow.
That's
And
awesome, man.
I really want to try and shoot every North American big game animal that's native here anyways. Like I don't care about all that stuff that's in Texas that got released or whatnot.
Right, axis deer and all that.
Like the sheep, all the sheep and stuff. Like I've
Yeah.
shot an elk, I've shot a mule deer. I missed an antelope. I need an antelope, but all that stuff like caribou. I want a caribou, but most importantly, I want that moose because like
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I walked into a dude's house and he had a moose there. Automatically knew that guy's a good hunter. No, it doesn't matter if he paid $50,000 for the thing to go on a guided trip. Guy was a good hunter, you know?
Right.
And I just want to be able to be that guy when I'm 60 years old, 70 years old, that, like someone will bring their kids over and look throughout my house and see all these things that I did and accomplished in the outdoor industry and hunting and all these stories that I got. I never want to run out of stories.
Yep, I'm
And
with you, man.
yeah, I never want to run out of hunting stories. And when I was 15 years old, a Native American guy came up to me, and he said, "You better hunt all the time because the animals that you've successfully harvested in your life are the only ones that you'll be able to chase in the afterlife." So
That's
it's like,
awesome.
okay, I've got 53 turkeys to hunt when I'm dead now. Like,
Moose is definitely on my list as well. For some reason, and I don't know why. Well, I do know why. See, I don't have that kind of thing where I'm from. I want to shoot a black bear. I want to shoot a bear in general. I've never been able to go on nothing like that. I've almost put it together a couple times in the Virginia area, but that's something I want to get off my list bad with the bow. I want to do it with the bow.
I've been fortunate enough to shoot 4 with a bow. My first bear was with a rifle, and in Pennsylvania we do a lot of bear drives, where it's just a straight up war. Like the bear that I had shot and killed as my first bear was shot 13 times before I killed it.
Wow, that's wild.
Bang, 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 bang. Like he got shot in the freaking head and it just bounced off type thing. The paw was hanging, and
Dude, that's
I never wanted to
nuts.
experience that again. You
guys do a lot of deer drives up there too, right?
Deer drives are the way to do it, I guess. I mean, there's like an art to driving deer, and everyone's got their own way of doing it. Because at the end of the day, when you're pushing deer, and if you know there's a big buck in that spot, and you're trying to push it to people, that big buck is not going to get shot unless you do it perfect. Right. It's gonna cut around you and go back the other way. It's gonna backtrack, and you're gonna miss it. And yeah, it's awesome. This past year there was 825,000 licensed deer hunters in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Texas has like 1.2 million, and Texas is 5 times the size as Pennsylvania. Like the tradition that we have, all the camps and stuff, it's truly amazing what I was able to grow up into. And people like to take that for granted. People just don't realize how good we actually have it in Pennsylvania. There's so many things to do. Like you said, we've got black bears out the wazoo. Our deer, our average deer size growing every year. Like when I was a kid, if someone shot a 120-inch buck, it was in the newspaper.
Wow.
Like and now you got to shoot like a 160. And that's because of the antler restrictions that were started in like 2001, where we have to shoot 3 on one side.
Yeah, we have. See, here in Indiana, we have a 1 buck rule, so we can only shoot one buck. There isn't any antler restrictions, but I think that 1 buck rule definitely helps our state out. Our numbers have been hurting here for a couple of years. I hope they come up a little bit. We have a lot of EHD, especially around the area of East Central Indiana that I live in, but it's on the up and up, and hopefully recovers quite well.
Yeah, I mean, I like talking to the old timers and how they used to say that, oh, we'd see 120 deer on this trail, single file line. I wonder where all those went to. I wonder if they're actually like telling the truth about those stories or not.
Probably because they filled their truck beds up.
Yeah, filling their truck beds up with deer, and it's like, I just wish that I could go back in time and experience what everyone calls the heyday of deer hunting and the heyday of turkey hunting.
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Because I'd really like to be able to witness it, what they went through, not just what I've been doing.
Right. Yeah, I've said that several times too. Like, when I first started deer hunting, we had check-in stations. If you shot a deer, you had to take it to the check-in station, give them your license, all that sort of thing, and they check it in for their numbers. Now we do everything over the phone or on the app and all that kind of stuff. I would actually and you got a metal tag when you took it into the check-in station. Now you just get a confirmation number. I'd like to bring back the metal tags in the check-in stations, and because opening day gun, we go out there and hunt, and on the way home we'd always stop by the check-in stations and check everybody's deer out. Everybody's got their tailgate down, telling lies of how they shot it.
Yeah. Oh, I shot this deer 5 miles back in the national forest.
Right.
No, you shot it underneath your apple tree in your backyard. Like, come on.
I can remember vividly. I think I was 16 or 17 years old. 17 years old. I shot a 135-inch 8-pointer on like the weekend of like Thanksgiving. And I was all excited. I'm like, I'm going to have the biggest deer when we get there. I'm going to be able to talk it up. I'm young and, kind of cocky about it. And we get there. And a guy actually not too far from where I'm sitting right now shot a 210-inch typical. And I was like, yeah, I'm not even going to take the tailgate down because this thing's huge.
I had the same thing. I was 14. It was 2015. The buck that was at the place, I had shot like 130-inch buck, 130-inch 9-point, and I was like, best 14-year-old hunter in the world.
Right.
We pull up to this spot and like the little county store type thing, and I'm talking about it. Everyone's high-fiving me. I'm a little kid. Guy pulls up with the county record.
Oh, wow.
197-inch buck, just double drop tines that were like 16 inches long that just held its head up. It was ridiculous.
That's awesome.
And my dad is just, I watched him slowly lift the tailgate up and shut it.
Yeah, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on here and talking some hunting with me and hearing stories and it's kind of cool because you kind of wanted to do the DNR thing a little bit, and you going to school and picking up waterfowl. Kind of same thing happened to me. I didn't waterfowl until I went to college and then got big into it. Kind of similar story. Pretty cool to hear other guys' stories of growing up and hunting and all that stuff, man. But I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, dude, this was fun. This was really fun.
Yeah, I mean, well, here in a few months we get to hunting some deer, man. We'll have to get you back on and get an update and see how things are going, man.
And hopefully I stick one with that thing.
I hope you do. That would be freaking awesome, man.
Dude. Not gonna lie, first legal buck, it's done. First legal buck is gone. Little 6-pointer that's like this big, out of here.
That's awesome, man. Well, tell everybody where they can find you and follow you on the old social media.
All of my social media platform ats are life.of.corre. Corre is spelled Corre. That's
Gotcha.
Instagram and TikTok. Please do not send me a friend request on Facebook.
I did that, sorry.
I know you did, but that's fine. I just get like
Sorry.
12-year-old kids that add me on Facebook, and I'm like, no.
That's funny. That's cool, man. Well, you have a good rest of your evening, and thanks for everybody for listening, or if you're watching on the YouTube and everything, and give us a like and subscribe and share it to your buddies if you like what we got going on. Like I said, we just dropped a scouting video from this week, and we put out some trail cams and stuff. Tons of turkey content on there from this past spring. Check us out, and we'll see you back again here next week for episode 62.